Welcome back to the Drum Rundown. We are here today in studio at the Studio Nashville. Very happy to always be in a studio, and I'm very happy today to be with Jano Rix of the Wood Brothers.
Great to be here.
What's going on, man?
Hey.
Nice to meet you, and thanks for hanging out. Always happy to be in a studio because it kind of gives a different perspective to this whole thing, and you've welcomed us in, and we have some studio vibes, but this is your live rig.
Yeah.
Which you have set up for us today. So there's a lot of things to delve into, percussion things, straight down the middle, drum kit things, and then some technology stuff. And we'll start, I think, with just the main section here that is the most kind of familiar to the Drum Rundown family back home, which is just kick and snare and some cymbals. So let's start there. What do we have for the kick?
Yeah, all right. The kick is, I believe it's a 68 Slingerland Tangerine Satin Flame. This is probably my favorite piece I own, actually. And I just got it from my dad. It's the drum that was in the basement when I was growing up.
That's cool.
Also, the drum my dad used a bunch touring and playing on records. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a cool legacy there, and to keep that drum working.
Yeah,
this
was out with lots of bands. Might have even been out with Dylan and Leonard Cohen and lots of people.
Wow.
So.
Yeah, there's something in those mid-'60s Slingerlands that are just, I mean, they have a vibe.
Yeah, and this is a single-headed kick. It was not converted. He bought it that way. It's got like a chrome interior.
Okay.
I had the bearing edges recut and stuff. So anyway, and I love the way it sounds. So I'm excited to have that out.
And what are the dimensions?
That is a 20 by 14.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you're getting a lot of punch out of it, though.
Yes.
On a smaller drum.
And it's pretty dead, which I love in the studio. Of course, do all sorts of stuff in the studio, but you know, as rooms get bigger, it's just like, I don't need more length out of the kick drum.
Yeah.
Front of house doesn't need more length. I don't need to hear that coming back at me and lasting forever. So it's pretty quick and tight.
Certainly something you can add and way harder to take away.
Yes.
So is that kind of your approach with that, is to start somewhere very just in and out?
Yes.
Okay.
I tend to like quick sounds because I grew up liking funky music, and generally the quicker things come in and out, just the more it's just rhythmic and makes you want to dance. Generally, there's room for everything, but and it just works with the Wood Brothers. Of course, this changes depending on what gig I'm playing completely, but with the Wood Brothers, this tends to work. Chris's upright sound is massive and takes a lot of frequency range and spectrum, and he's bowing sometimes, so this just pairs good with it. So
yeah, we've tried to coin the term frequency knife fight on the show, which is when you have, like you said, when you have the kind of bass frequencies that you're dealing with in that band, there's a very kind of limited area for you to play in.
Limited bandwidth, and I like to think about that a lot, and you know, because I've sat in the producer and engineer chair a bunch, so my head goes there. So I love to talk to the front house engineer, and we talk all the time. So
cool. And what batter head do you have on there?
Oh crap!
Let's look.
I believe it's a ambassador. Yeah, it's still an ambassador, just old school coated ambassador.
Okay.
Yeah, which I just love. Acoustically, sometimes compared to a modern head that's going to bring out that liquid and like. It might sound a little thin, but that's the sound I love. It's funky.
Yeah, we've been talking, and I'm in this lane. I love 70s dead kit sounds. I just think they're super vibey, and they do have a tendency to make people dance and shake it.
Feels good.
It feels good. Yeah.
You know.
And I think it is a front of house dream because you can, like you said, you can add wetness and stuff to it.
Yeah.
Length, but taking it away is a lot harder.
Yeah, more and more. If we're in a room, if we're in a large venue, if we're in an arena, whatever, or just a large theater, and the subs are just awful behind where they're placed on this, you know, it's like, I don't need any more. My kick might last 3 seconds in the room as is, just being that
Yeah.
might go on that. So I don't want to hear any more of that.
Cool. Let's get into the other friend. Let's talk about this awesome Pearl snare.
I love these snares. This is just your standard issue Pearl 13x3 Piccolo. They made a ton of these, like I think starting in the 90s. That's when I got this one, was in the 90s. I traded a snare with a high school friend. And I actually tune this really low and choke the snares usually. It's a little tighter now. Yeah, you would think of this more as crack, maybe like gospel or like funk, like tuned up high for a piccolo. But I don't tend to use it like that. But what I love is I can get a meaty sound that's very quick and immediate. So it might have, but it just gets out. It's not like a big deep drum being like that. It's in and out.
Yeah. Would you mind hitting it for us right now?
I don't mind.
Does not sound like a piccolo. Well, it can there.
Yeah, it can. I can make it sound like that.
But out of the gate, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't sound like a 3-inch drum.
Yeah. It's got some meat to it. It's also extremely choked, which makes it kind of crappy to play sometimes. But I love the sound, as in, if you want the snares to respond, they stop responding at a certain dynamic. So press rolls are not going to be nice and even, like on a drum where the snares can freely float.
Right.
But I love that quick sound, and then when the snares choke and just go.
Yeah.
So
it almost has like a self-gate mechanism on it.
Yeah, and so I love that. It makes it not as fun to play sometimes. It's just harder, you know. And then I've got this little, I forget what you call these, but it extends the rim out because it's a small drum and just.
You're almost getting that clave.
Yeah, it just thickens that up because on a smaller drum, just makes that a little more cutting and loud.
I love the attack of that.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And you get the resonance from the snare. You can kind of hear it sing. That's very, very cool. And it's covered with some dampening. What head is there?
Yeah, that's a coated ambassador. Okay. I mean, I've tried every head. I'll sit here for days tuning it and trying different combinations of heads. But I always tend to come back to coated ambassadors. I don't know. They just tend to do the job. Other things sound really cool, but when it comes to working for everything for me,
well, I think that coated ambassador is how you're getting a little bit of that lower character, right? A little bit more of that body.
And it changes, how tight it is to get the pitch and how much tension is on the drum. And and I tend to tune often. In this case now, it's about a minor third between the heads. The resonant is about a minor third up. I will do it all different ways, but right now that's what's happening. That tends to get a tone out of the drum. Which I like. So and just like a little bit of, it's like a little pad of some dampening, which is like some gaff tape with a little tissue under it, and it's loosely on here, so it just vibrates, lets it speak for a second, and then goes down. So.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
It's like the prototype for the snare weight.
Yeah. And man, I've tried all those things. And I just want to use them because they're so convenient and they look nice. They look like pro and and then I just, when it comes down to it, it's like just a little, and I just make it out of gaff tape. So that's just what happens every night. So
hey, if it ain't broke.
Yeah.
And the reso on the bottom, what head do we have?
Ambassador, resonant.
Clear.
Yeah, clear.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how many snares? Is it a thick, a thin?
It is, I haven't looked. Is it still the way it once was?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Just here.
Straight down the middle.
Straight down the middle. I used to have straight down the middle, but I had clipped a few of the snare wires on the sides for many years. I think that helped it have a little more tone for a little more crack.
Yeah.
When I was tuning it tighter and wanted that. So
Cool. Well, that's a very, very cool drum and a very cool sound out of a 3-inch drum.
I know. It's not what. Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not what you would think. People are usually surprised. Like, I'm using a Piccolo with the Wood Brothers?
One of those people.
Yeah.
I'm surprised to see a Piccolo back here.
Yeah.
Super, super rad. Let's go around the horn.
Cool.
What do we got up?
This is a little 10-inch snare. This is a Joe Montineri from the 90s. My friend Adam Deitch, if you know him, drummer, plays with Lettuce, lots of people. He loaned that to me. We actually grew up playing together. And then I forgot to give it back to him. And then just a few years.
Sorry, Adam.
Yeah, sorry, Adam. It was probably 10 years ago. I was like, dude, I have this snare on my shelf. I was like, you want it back? He's like, it's yours now. So, but it's come into rotation. So that's a higher sound, and it's got these little jangles on it. It's tuned. Also in a minor third.
All right.
And with those on it, I'll just play it for a second.
Sure. Cool.
Sounds like that.
Yeah, and what's interesting is you have a 10-inch drum that sounds more like what you would think the 3-inch drum would sound like.
Yeah, totally.
Because it's like very pitched up and high, and you're kind of getting that. But I love the jangle on it.
Yeah, most people would have this over here doing that kind of a thing, but yeah.
And that's just like super torqued. It's another ambassador coated.
Yep.
And another similar resonant head.
Yep.
Just a clear.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yep.
That's awesome. And
yeah,
that.
This is Pandeiro.
So cool.
Yeah, Brazilian Pandeiro. This is a Stanton Moore signature model mounted Pandeiro, I do believe. These things are great. I was looking for one because I've done this before, just handheld, putting a mic really close to any kind of tambourine and getting a lot of low end out of it. So this is kind of sounds like an 808. It kind of sounds like what I wish floor toms sound like, and I can't get them to sound like it.
Okay. Oh,
so
cool.
And it does have some tape balled up on the bottom of it, but it kind of does that boom on its own. To get a floor tom to do that, you got to muffle it, and then you kind of kill it. This just really naturally. I tune it finger tight.
Okay.
It'll go out during the show, and I have to just like tighten it up. Mic's real close to it. You'll hear it when it's... The only thing is it's acoustically not as loud, and you can't hit it as hard as you'd like to really lay into a floor tom. So also, it's in a way not as rewarding to play because you can't just, and just lay into it. You got to be mindful. But yeah, when you hear it mic'd up too, it's pretty deep.
So you're literally just getting the head to barely sing at all and then stopping?
Yeah, I just go around with my fingers. And one of these is removed too.
Intentionally?
Intentionally.
Okay.
Well, it fell off. But I did find it, and then I realized it's that thing where you loosen one, and you might get a doom.
Sure.
But these are so loose, you can't loosen one anymore without it rattling. So
it's got to
that's
go.
the loosen one, so it gives that drop.
Yeah.
And a little jangle, too.
All right.
So.
And I hear just a little sympathetic coming off of the other thing, which is giving it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So
Very cool. And I love that you kind of have, some jangle on both of your toms.
Yeah, it's interesting. I used to tape up all these jangles. And then
to have them out?
To have them pretty much out.
Okay.
Or I tape up some of them and just have a little bit, but I've come to really like it. It's it kind of makes it sound like one instrument. All the sounds are so tight, it can start to sound a little sterile and which just doesn't fit, at least with the Wood Brothers, so much for what we're doing. When things sound like they're coming from different places.
You're trying to bring it into one kind of sonic family.
Yeah, I kind of like that.
All right.
So
that's cool. Well, there's some other percussive things that are right above it that are kind of in that same vein.
Yeah, we got a couple cowbells here. Low and high. The high is really muted, almost like a woodblock kind of sound. And then I just throw, my friend makes these awesome things. He called this one the Jano. We're going on cymbals, which sounds awesome. But I love it on here because I can do stuff like, and then just,
Yeah.
and then I can just have like trashy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Did you invent the trash stack cowbell?
I guess so.
Maybe.
Damn,
It's
the
called
word's
Jano.
out now. Yeah, it's called the Jano, yeah.
That's awesome. It's very, very cool. I love that you're adding like sizzle and character to all of these things, and you kind of mentioned the 808. So is that something that you like to add texture to like a one hit where it has like a little thing to it?
I guess so.
Yeah?
I guess you're right.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's true.
It seems like it.
It's funny because I like really tight sounds, but then I like to add just a little something to them, and something that makes me inspired. Because and I'll switch this out. I'll do this here for a while, and then I'll take it away, and I'll do something different. So it just keeps me inspired to hear a new sound. Or if it confuses me a little when we're playing live or in the studio, and I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Like the first night I put it on, I'm trying to do like over here, but I'm like, oh crap, okay, that stick's not rebounding because this thing is absorbing it, but it makes me play something new. So yeah, just try to keep it inspiring.
Yeah, and I like that it can kind of fly around and you're using it to...
this particular thing flies around.
Yeah, that's awesome. Very cool. And the things that it's flying around on, I see rivets here and I see rivets here.
Yeah. Yeah, should we
Let's talk about the one that doesn't have rivets first.
I think, yeah, this is made, it's round sound. It's a guy in Oakland, and someone brought it by for me to try, and I love it. This is just a beautiful crash cymbal.
Warm, silky.
Warm, silky, lasts a long time.
Yeah. I can hear how it feels to play. Like I can hear the stick kind of push. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I love that in a cymbal. That's very, very cool.
And then over here,
Riveted ride.
Riveted ride.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it just worked out. I love this cymbal, and I needed a little more cut, and I liked on the high end a little more sparkle. We have so many warm things in the band too that are like amps that are overdriven, but they're warm, so sparkle really helps with
something
that.
to cut through the top.
But I like to make my own rivets out of. There's one real rivet in here. And then these are screws with bolts on them. They sound a little more trashy. Anyway, that just puts it right where I like it.
Yeah, and so you riveted it.
Yeah,
yourself.
I drilled it.
Okay.
This is made by a guy in, is it Cincinnati? I might be getting that wrong, I forget. Awesome cymbal shop. And I think it's called Xilxo, Xilo, and he makes his own cymbals.
Okay.
He has them made in Turkey.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong with a Turkish cymbal.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah. And
then a riveted
hats.
hat, but it's a crash.
Oh, right. Yeah. I've been playing these 18-inch cymbals for so long, I forget that they're not normal sized. But yeah, this is a
18's pretty
UFIP.
big, dude.
Yeah, it's. You know what I hate about it is, once again, playing wise. Yes, I have the spring tightened on the hi-hat so that it
can
pushes,
come back up.
compacts up,
Yeah.
comes back up. But when I get on some 14 hats, I'm like, oh my God, it's so easy to play. Why am I doing this to myself? Just,
Yeah.
We were talking about Blue Man. If I had to,
Right.
just in that show, these would be a nightmare. But yeah, they just sound beautiful. With the Wood Brothers, I haven't found anything else that works. So since we're dorking on gear, I don't even know who made this.
Why we are here. the bottom
GP,
one?
that's like a really cheap cymbal. It's just these two work well together. I think I got that in a pawn shop or a thrift store. And it's riveted.
Which is so cool.
I love it.
Because you have so many things that you can get done here, because it has similar characteristics to that, right? It's dark, but the bell is super articulate and cutting through, and, you know, you're the sizzle guy.
I'm a sizzle guy, I guess. Yeah, I love it. You know, they're big hats, but they're not washy. They have a lot of
They're really
attack
dry.
and dry.
It's super
and tight.
dry, yeah.
So yeah. Yeah, so they just, you know, they make me happy, actually, just hitting them. Thanks for coming so I could appreciate my gear. I take it for granted.
Well, it seems like you're kind of like chasing a very specific thing, and you're making, I don't want to say non-traditional, because it's all traditional stuff. It's just how you're approaching it. You're just making it work for you, which I think is very, very cool. And that tone family that you just ran us through, like, those play so well together. Those three sounds are
nice,
very,
right?
very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tone
awesome.
Quest. We call it Tone
The
Quest.
tone quest. Yeah. Be the particle and chase the tone.
Yeah.
Cool. Some things while we're still in this percussive striking things world. Sticks.
Oh, man, I've gone back to real traditional 5As. Vic Firth 5As.
For all of this weird stuff.
For all this weird stuff.
Nothing weird here.
Yeah, I was doing 8Ds, always wood tips for the most part. You know, in the studio, whatever. I'll pick up whatever to play with in my hands. But for a while, I was using timbali sticks.
Okay. So you went away from a jazz stick and went to something more
I was using
rock.
really lightweight timbali sticks, and it was all dependent on the drum tuning to make the drums speak, and it was cool. It was quieter and nice for stage volume and stuff.
Well, you're talking about needing to be able to hit these in a dynamic way and not crush them, but you're playing with a heavier stick. Is that kind of keeping your strokes more honest? Or are you getting just enough power? Like, what's the compromise?
These days, I have this stick turned around all the time.
Okay.
I've learned to kind of match volumes like this, which is a little weird and ridiculous.
A lot of greats do it.
I just love being able to go between, and it allows, since this drum is choked, there's a minimum volume you have to get to allow it to resonate and get the depth, that deep thing that out of it. So this allows me to do it, and the heavier sticks allow me to do it a little more easily.
Cool.
So, I mean, because I was using 8Ds before, so yeah.
Nice. Cool.
That's the
and
story.
then I think the last thing, we shouldn't leave it out, is just the kick pedal.
Oh, old school iron Cobra. Just, I don't know how old school. I forget where I got this. I just like it. It's an old iron Cobra. I'm used to it.
Yeah, iron Cobras are awesome.
They're awesome.
There's a reason why they're on many, many kits.
What do you use?
DW 5000 with no heel. It's a heelless 5000. Kind of weird. Just a weird one that I found.
Cool. Yeah. But I'll use different pedals, but that's just what I've been using for a while. And this is just a Gibraltar stand. I actually really like Gibraltar hardware. I've started to just use that a lot. So
okay, we can talk about hardware before we get in there. We just have some things holding things up, and let's talk. Well, let's talk about how because we're floating the toms.
This guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I just looked around my world and I had that old school mount, and I put it on that snare. It was just in.
That's it.
Yeah.
And there's the huge thing on the interwebs these days is like the virgin bass drum, non-virgin bass drum. You have a non-virgin bass drum, but you're not using the mount.
I'm not using the mount. Slingerland hardware from that era is hard to combine with things. Also, if I mount this on it, every time I hit the kick drum, all these jingles resonate, which is cool sometimes. But
which can be cool.
I'm not doing that.
Not doing it.
And yeah, this is just how my dad had it, and there it is.
I was going to say that drum is perfect.
It's so dope.
Don't touch it. Yeah, it's great. Cool. Well, that's the main kind of acoustic kit, and then I see a lot of technology that's happening. So I'm going to nerd out and delve in and use some of my rig rundown knowledge to get into some of these pedals. So what is the signal flow, I guess, first? Like, are things here going into that world at all, or is this world different than this kit?
It's different from this kit.
Okay.
This is part of keyboard world.
Got it.
And yeah, so I've got a Rhodes on the bottom, and that's just going into, let's see, first this boost pedal, which is a really nice clean Vertex boost, and that just acts as a preamp.
Okay.
Because this is an old Rhodes, and it needs a preamp. And to play well with the amp and these pedals. And then it goes into this Harmonious Monk, which is a tremolo.
Cool.
And that's that whole signal chain.
Okay.
And then it goes to a DI and Peavy Classic, what do you call it? Classic 30 from like the 80s or early 90s. Sounding cool. Yeah.
And the boost is always on, trem always on?
Yeah, sometimes I'll double up the trem. Sometimes I'll turn it off, but yeah, it's pretty simple chain there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the Rhodes is going through those two, and then the other are for?
Then the other are for this Arturia PolyBrute, which is it's a beast. It's an analog polysynth, a new one.
So cool.
Yeah, fully. I'm running it just, it does have some digital effects you can use. I have those off in the signal chain. It's just purely analog. It is a noisy synth because it's a lot of oscillators going.
Okay.
And so I actually have it going through a little noise gate. And then it hits. In the loop of the noise gate is this JHS Color Box.
Very cool.
Yeah, which that's cool. It's kind of acting as a boost.
Okay.
With that I also have it boost the mids, so it gets like this kind of middle boost and a little distortion on it. And
so you're using that mostly for EQ shaping and a little boost?
And a little boost. That's the next level. I need something I can hit because often I'm playing these things at the same time. So I just like trying to fiddle with volume knobs.
Yeah.
Like I just bam, like solo.
Go-go juice button.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. That's a fantastic pedal though. Then it goes back through here. That's an effects loop for this, and then it goes into a Memory Man, which sounds great. It's a Memory Man.
Yeah.
And I got a little slider on it. What sound do I have up here? So I can kind of adjust that while I'm playing.
Oh wow! So that's just a quick access.
That's a quick access. Yeah,
cool.
Another thing, so I can just be going like.
Nice.
You know. So
that's very cool.
I just have, I try to keep it pretty simple. Those are my two tricks.
Those are really good tricks, though.
They're good tricks. You can get it. That's all you need. I mean,
It's like a kick flip.
That's right.
And whatever
you
the
do
other.
an ollie and a kick flip.
An ollie and a
you
kick
can
flip.
get
Yeah.
you can get a
You're
lot
skating,
done.
dude.
Good call.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So that's keyboard world.
That's keyboard world. That's
Okay.
keyboard world.
Cool. So all of these awesome poly synth sounds are going out to an amp. Talk to me about where it goes.
That amp is an Alessandro, made by George Alessandro. That's an amazing amp. Got that just about a year ago, and he came out and tried a bunch of amps out, and It's just a beautiful amp. And if you open up the back, I mean, I don't build amps, but it's gorgeous inside. He's all about simplicity. It's real old school design. Yeah, it's just a beautiful amp, breaks up real, just nice. Can handle the low end of the poly synth, of like a real analog synth. So yeah, that's the deal with that. Oh, and the wood used to make that amp is the same wood he used to make the same amp for Dave Gilmour.
Wow.
Pink Floyd. So, and that's close to my heart. So
yeah,
it's like I got a little. That's my connection to Dave Gilmour.
Getting some mojo in the amp at least.
Yeah.
That's very cool. What a cool tie-in. Yeah. And then I guess would there be other percussive things? I see maybe some other hand percussion things sitting around.
I like to make things. We call this Big Shaker.
Big Shaker.
It's
trademark.
It's someone at a rehearsal space I used to have left like 30 protein bottles out in the hallway.
Yeah.
And I was like, mine. And I took them all, and so I just experimented with them. And then it needed a little bit of traditional, like higher end on the top, so I taped a shaker to it. It's like Velcroed and taped. And so, yeah. It's trashy and big.
Yeah.
So I love combining that with the tight sounds. Or this being loose and these things being tight and straight, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so you kind of like that, the sonic, the dichotomy, I guess.
Yeah, that juxtaposition, like. You know, just like, it's kind of loose and tight.
Yeah, and do you find that in the shaker world, we were talking about all of the bass frequency stuff that's happening, is that playing better in that sonic space? Or is working better?
Wait, what do you mean? Like
in terms of where it sits with the upright bass and the other bass frequency things that are happening.
Yeah, this can tend to get lost, but then I just
get a little closer.
And live, we do an XY right here.
Okay.
Pretty low, so I can really, and we're in in-ears, so I can really judge how loud it is. But yeah, and this, right. I see what you're asking. Yeah, this shaker on the top makes it play a little nicer, and because just the warmth of this can get lost in the mix.
That's your rivet. That's my rivet.
My rivet.
That's how you got rivet
and jangles
on your shaker.
Yeah. Oh, you want to see my rivet from my right-hand stick?
Yeah, there it is.
That's this shaker. So that's the kind of thing I just. Other people probably do this, but I just got used to using this shaker as my fulcrum instead of my thumb.
Okay.
So I just got, and then, so yeah, just like people will tape it on, but I can just grab that and throw it down. So.
Okay. And it has a little bit more of a tactile thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's about it.
A little bit more control.
Yeah, some, brushes, whatnot. But
yeah, let's talk about brushes. We
Yeah.
don't see brushes often. Let's give some love.
Don't see brushes often. What?
Well,
a shame. But yeah, just some Vic Firth. I bought so many of these that I forgot what they're called. I guess they're called Legacy.
Legacy.
They're kind of heavier weight brushes, which I like because we get playing hard with the sticks. So this keeps the volume not so different with the brushes to the sticks. So yeah, that's the basic deal. I don't use them very much, but for some songs I use them. So yeah.
Cool. And a little heavier for the dynamics.
Yeah, just to match them to the sticks a little more in our environment where we get to bashing in a Wood Brothers show.
Yeah.
It's folky at moments and soft, and then it's full on rocking. So yeah. And I almost never use mallets. But they're there if I need them. I usually keep them in here just in case I need them with some extra sticks in case I drop one. I'm like but my right hand's going between a keyboard and the stick like half the time. So I'm throwing that there, grabbing it, throwing it, and often I throw it and then it goes on the ground.
Yeah.
So, Twice a night I need to reach for another stick. So
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we are in the studio,
Yeah.
so I would love to take an opportunity just to ask you what kind of would change in the studio. We were talking about it a little bit before, and you said a lot, because you're kind of doing whatever the song calls for.
Yeah.
What kind of things in the studio do you like to kind of play with and bring in?
Well,
That's not here.
that's not here. Yeah. If we went in the other room, there's I don't know how many bass drums. I have a lot. I have too many bass drums. But I would
B-roll
look at
here. We'll add some.
Yeah, you can look at the wall of like
Okay.
12 bass drums or more. Often I start there, I guess. Like, hear a song, we talk about it, or maybe I brought in the song, whatever it is, and we're all talking about starting to get a vibe, ideas about what we might try, and then I start talking to the engineer, which is usually Brooke here, or Will, who's doing it today, and I don't know. I feel like the bass drum choice, in a way, it's like, well, kind of have to set up things around it. So am I going to go for a tight thing? Am I going to go for a double-headed 24 with no padding? You know, like,
Yeah.
I'll do both. Even on Wood Brothers records in the studio, there's a lot of that. And love talking about how we're going to mic it, too, because sometimes it's like, wow, what if the drum kit was one mic? Like, one of my favorite recordings we've done is one mic. That song Alabaster of the Wood Brothers is one mic on the drum kit. So yeah, that determines how I'll set up. You know, so I think about the sounds, think about, do we want roomy sound? Do we want to be isolated from each other? We might take a lot of this muffling off the walls, a lot of these sound panels, and just have it be wide open. And then I'll choose snare drums and cymbals just according to the song, pretty much.
That's very, very cool.
Yeah.
I appreciate the tone quests. My band is very, very similar.
Yeah,
I feel like
we were
I've learned a
talking about
lot today. I feel like this is just such an awesome, unique setup, and I love every individual piece and how unique they are, but they definitely just vibe together as like one whole kit. It's very, very cool.
Hopefully so.
Yeah. It seems to be working.
Yeah.
Yeah. People are responding well to it.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate your time today, Jano Rix
Yeah,
of the
sure.
Wood Brothers. This has been a show called The Drum Rundown. We will see you all on the next one.